takes a second. Hello, YouTube. Clear Vision Wednesday time. I'm Claudia Mühlenweg. I am a natural vision improvement teacher and the creator of the Natural Clear Vision Method. And if you find these videos helpful, please subscribe to this channel. And because today we have another amazing guest, our whole November topic is liver, gallbladder, and eye health. And today we will talk about how castor oil packs help you clear up your vision. And I personally hadn't heard of castor oil packs until maybe 4 years ago. My mentor, Dr. Rita Marie-Los also introduced me to them and to Dr. Marisol. And so I'm so super excited to have you on. Let me bring you on stage here. Hi, Dr. Marisol.
Hello. Thank you so much, Claudia, for having me. I'm so excited to speak about my passion and my love, which is everything having to do with liver cleansing and castor oil packs. I'm so very excited.
Me too. And, you know, you are a former naturopathic doctor. You had a brick and mortar building, and now you are known as the Queen of the Thrones, which I think is the coolest title ever. So tell us a little bit, how did you get there before we dive into the castor oil packs? And maybe that's probably part of the story, I would guess, right?
Absolutely, 100% of the story. So what's really interesting is that I at first really thought that castor oil packs were woo-woo. I thought they were, oh, hold on, sorry, I'm getting a little bit of it might be the seasonal changes, but I found them to be woo-woo and different and not really scientific at all. And at first, when I was, exploring the natural health and wellness industry as a young woman who had been really fortunate to get a job in the natural healing industry with a wonderful German company, I myself didn't have the best health. I was always dealing with things, hormonal problems like PCOS. I was dealing with IBS, pretty severe at the time, where I would be alternating between constipation and diarrhea, and I could never, ever get really regulated. And I was really sick and tired of, trying everything, every new supplement, every new exercise, every new diet, fasting, whatever the case may be. I was trying everything. But the only thing that I wasn't trying was castor oil packs. Even though, so many people, so many practitioners, chiropractors, naturopathic doctors, colleagues, friends, they were all telling me about this wonderful castor oil pack. But again, to me, it just didn't feel like it fit in the confines of what to me was science, or to me what worked. Like, I was always looking for a pill to fix everything, Are you like that too?
I'm totally, I think that the majority of people are like that. We do like that quick fix and to solve the problem and not really look at the root cause. So yeah, I'm also that way. I'm like, where does science stop? Where does woo-woo begin? I'm usually kind of in the middle, right between, because at the end of the day, I want to do stuff that works. And I'm sure that's how you function, right? You want to create products and services that work, that actually get people results. So
exactly. And you know what, there's a lot to be said about woo-woo, because, there's lots of things known as the placebo effect. And, I thought maybe the castor oil pack was purely placebo until I went back to naturopathic school, because I decided to become a naturopathic doctor, encouraged by my clients who said, you know so much, go back and become the doctor, and then it could change your life. And I, of course, went back to school in hopes of healing myself. I figured, you know what, I've been going to all these different doctors. I've been trying all these different things. Maybe if I go to school, maybe there I'll get and find my healing. And sure enough, I was totally disappointed. I, was in third year, moving on into my clinical year in naturopathic college. And I'm at this point now, getting so ill. Not only was I dealing with, PCOS and IBS that came with me when I first started, but then I had mold toxicity. I was dealing with Epstein-Barr virus. I was, it was just a mess. I got to the point where I was in bed, diagnosed with chronic fatigue and, unable to get out of bed. Yet here I was doing everything right. I was taking all the right supplements, to eating all the right foods, doing all the right exercises, going to see all the right doctors, doing colon hydrotherapy. I was even doing IV therapy like twice a week. Like I was, shooting the boat at myself to see if I could get better. But I was bedridden. And my prognosis at the time was 6 months to 9 months if I would be lucky, because what natural doctors usually say about things like Epstein-Barr and chronic fatigue is that you're never better since. Like, you never feel your energy to be better after having been diagnosed with one of those conditions. So I was highly motivated because I was highly scared, because I came from being a person who had a lot of energy to suddenly being unable to get out of bed. And in that time, being really, really well trained in homotoxicology, which is the study of toxins within the human system, and liver detoxification, colon cleansing, lymphatic drainage were my specialties. Something popped into my head, and literally it was the only thing that I wasn't doing. And that was the castor oil pack, and it's like, boom, maybe castor oil pack, maybe now you should try it. Like, come on, try it. Little angel and a little devil on my shoulder, like the angel saying, do the castor oil pack, and the little devil being like, don't do it, it's woo. So I kind of, shoved the little devil off my shoulder and took the angel's advice. And I wasn't pleased though with the way that it was recommended to do, which, they were saying to, use any old cloth, a cloth that could have been used to clean old things, like that would have chemicals in it. So that didn't make sense to me. There wasn't a specification as to what kind of castor oil you would use, if it was to be in a glass bottle or not. And then they had this practice before of wrapping plastic wrap around your body with the castor oil, which to me, really felt counterintuitive if I was going to be doing a detox liver treatment. And here I'm going to be adding plastics, and knowing that oil, and I didn't know how powerful castor oil was at the time, but I knew that oil is the vehicle which toxins and plastics and specifically move into the body, especially when you eat them orally. So, people are looking to, buy only maybe you can only afford one kind of food organic. Well, that choice I would always recommend would be your oily foods, like your fishes and your oils, and make sure they're in glass bottles and all these things. So I figured, if the treatment is good, it's probably the skin is the largest organ. And, if these things, how we absorb toxins in our oral cavity and within our digestive system, it's probably going to be the same thing within our skin. So I wanted to find like castor oil in a glass bottle. And then I wanted to do the castor oil pack in a different way that didn't involve plastic. So I sewed up my very first castor oil pack back then. And I literally, it was a cotton bag from an organic, natural health trade show that I sewed up, and I put like a little tea towel in it, and I made the little handles into straps, and then I wrapped it around my body. And the moment I put it on my body and I laid down, the best way I can describe this is it felt like a verse in the Bible. It's like the angels opened up, the sky opened up, and the angels began to sing. And for the first time in my life, or at least of my life that I could remember, I finally felt what relaxed felt like. And the feeling of being embraced, of being warm, of being comfortable, of being safe in my skin, which I think up until then, I never really felt safe in my skin. And perhaps that was the reason I had so much energy, because it was like nervous, traumatized energy. And my liver was like overwhelmed, right? Because it was constantly trying to process all of this stress toxicity, I call it. And so I put the pack on, and it literally changed my life. And so what ended up happening is that first month of doing the treatment, I literally used the castor oil pack pretty much every 2 hours. So I would be, wearing it for an hour, taking it off for an hour, wearing it for an hour, taking it off for an hour. And over time, little by little, I started to feel better. My energetic system started to kind of like engage. And here I was like, wow, like this is really cool. Like I'm actually feeling a bit better. And then, the month after that, I said, well, now I'm feeling better. I'm able to wake up in the morning. I've been sleeping with it at night. What about if I just now sleep with it overnight? And so that's what I started to do. I started to sleep with it every night, overnight. And again, deep sleeps. I was waking up in the morning. I was, having a regular bowel movement like clockwork. I felt like my hormones were doing better. My period started coming regularly. Unlike, with PCOS, it was like every month and a half, it was crazy. But I started getting it on a monthly cycle. By the third month, I was super impressed. And here I was, feeling really good. I'd even, hesitate to say that it was better than I felt for years, even like prior to getting diagnosed with Epstein-Barr and chronic fatigue. And I was pleased. And by the end of the third month, I knew I was ready to go back to school. I was fully engaged. I was super excited. And I literally ran out of my condo, ran back to school to my patients. And I was like, everyone must do a castor oil pack. Everyone, all my teachers, everyone. I was the preacher. That was it. I was telling everyone to do a castor oil pack. But the only problem was that everyone like me at the time, and this might be like all the listeners, is that everyone was kind of like, I'm not doing the pack. That's like, sounds like so woo-woo. And how do you do it? And is there an easy way to do it? And so I realized I needed to go back to the drawing board. And I actually, in my last clinical year, created my very first castor oil pack. And I think I have it over here. I might have it over here. Let me see. I created my very first castor oil pack, which, oh, I might not, but I did have it. I brought it and then I don't remember where I put it, but I created my very first castor oil pack, which was called the Oja back then. And it was square and it wasn't awesomely done. It had no real barrier on the outside, but at least it was something. It was a castor oil pack. And, I started my patients doing it. And then, fast forward over a decade of clinical practice later, and starting up the Queen of the Thrones, just a mere 3 years ago, I started it up. And but I've been practicing castor oil packs for over a decade in my clinical practice and seeing the benefits and even, living with them myself and always like feeling now at 44 better than I did when I was 22. Like, I don't think I'll ever age past 27 now with castor oil packs because I'm like, I just feel that good. Like I feel energy. I feel like alive. I sleep so well. I poop so well. I feel so well in my body. And so my hope and my goal was to be able to like spread this message to the whole world and to every practitioner so that every practitioner can have every patient before they even come to see them be doing a castor oil pack. Because these days, so many people think that castor oil packs are just while you do the liver cleanse and the liver detox and the colon cleanse and the lymphatic drainage. But to tell you the truth, liver detox, colon cleansing, lymphatic drainage, those are nightly processes that naturally happen in our body. And they naturally happen in our body when we shift the body into the relaxed state. And the biggest problem with everyone in the world and the root cause of disease is two things. One of them is stress. And then any kind of stressor leads to inflammation. And, it's noted in the research that stress and inflammation are the cause of all disease. But the interesting thing is that balanced stress and balanced inflammation is also the root of healing as well. So we just need to understand, and we just want to understand how it's working within our own unique systems. And when we understand that gentle mechanism and that gentle balance, well, there we can create change and transformation in our bodies like we never thought possible, because it really isn't about stopping inflammation or stopping stress, because we wouldn't live without inflammation, because inflammation heals our tissues. We wouldn't live without stress, because stress is what gives us a motivation to survive and to be proactive and to create and to do great things in this world. So the solution I realized, and the key, is to truly understanding how to gently balance the stress and the inflammation in our bodies. And what I love about the castor oil packs, it's one of the best tools to do that. And with that, improve liver detox, lymphatic drainage, and colon cleansing nightly.
Well, thank you so much for explaining this so well. And this absolutely aligns with what I say, because good vision, from what I teach, is really all about relaxation, but it doesn't mean that we are never stressed. Just mentally focusing on something or converging your eyes is already kind of putting you a little bit into the sympathetic nervous system mode. But it doesn't mean that you're in that fight or flight mode where you don't see any in the peripheral. So I'm interested, like, obviously we want to connect this to eyesight. So how can, and I know you have and we can talk about that, you have the eye mask too. But like, before we get into the eye mask, even like, how can castor oil help the eyes, even without putting castor oil literally, on your lashes or around your eyes?
Beautiful. Yeah. So in many of the ancient practitioners, like what I love about medicine, I love the ancient roots of our medicine. I love Hippocrates. I love Galen. He created the humors. Hippocrates was the one who created the doctor's Hippocratic oath. He's one of the first to say, let thy food be thy medicine and thy medicine be thy food. Galen talked about the humors, the black bile, yellow bile. I also love Pliny the Elder. If you go look at his ancient textbooks, he used to treat a lot with castor oil packs, all the Roman empresses, and specifically their hormonal problems, ovaries, uterus, any issues with childbirth, child rearing. It was quite interesting. And then, of course, my favorites are Ayurvedic medicine and traditional Chinese medicine, ancient doctors, because it's so interesting. What they knew, thousands and thousands of years ago is now being proven by modern day science. We know now in modern day science a very, very interesting fact about something known as chronobiology. And what I find is super interesting is I trained in Germany back in the early 2000s. And, in the early 2000s, back in Germany, they were already speaking about the importance of chronobiology. But I really didn't start to hear about it here in North America truly till about like maybe 4 or 5 years ago. So how advanced were the Germans back then? All I got to say, I was like so blessed to get to learn from the Germans about chronobiology, because every single organ in our body works on a time clock. And every single organ in traditional Chinese medicine is associated to an outside sense. For an example, your liver is the window to through the eyes. The kidneys is through the ears and the sound. The stomach is through the mouth. So we know in ancient traditional Chinese medicine that the liver health and the eye health is interconnected. And if there's problems with the eyes, we must look at the liver. And what is the liver having problems with? In Germany, I learned about the liver health connected to the eye health connected to the liver health with regards to the whites of our eyes. That, the liver being the major detoxification organ and dealing with things like lactic acid when we exercise too much and build up too much acidity in our tissues, that in our eyes, we can see it based on how many blood vessels are within the whites of our eyes, or how red our eyes are. The redder our eyes are, the more acidic the levels in our system and the more loaded and overburdened our liver is. So, there's such a connection between the liver health and the eye health. And, you'll hear common day phrases like the liver is the window, or the eyes are the window into the soul. If you even trace that back into like biblical references, such as, if we look into like the time when Christ was on the cross, the Roman soldiers actually speared Jesus into his right side, which is where the liver lies. And the reason is because they were trying to get rid of his soul to ensure that he was truly gone. And you see, so if we interconnect all of these ancient texts, like the Bible, like ancient traditional Chinese medicine, what it says about the different hours and times of the body, we connect all these different things. We start to see a very clear pattern, not just with the traditional Chinese medicine doctors or the Ayurvedic practitioners, but also with Western and Mediterranean philosophies as well too. So we can clearly see the history of the connection between the liver and the eyes. And so what we can do is we're so used to like treating everything directly topically on it. I love that. And I think that's good, but we want to understand that our body's an ecosystem. Right? It's like when we're building a garden, you don't just only, put the seed and only water that one seed and only give that seed like a little bit of nourishment. You work the entire garden, right? Because the entire garden is going to be responsible for that one little seed to be able to grow. So it's no different with your eyesight. And when it comes to improving the liver function, it has everything to do with chronobiology and how we time the things that we do, because the liver is an organ that is highly time regulated, because the liver is working with the colon, it's working with the microbiome, and the microbiome is highly time regulated as well too. And it's also working with the lymphatic system in the lungs, which is highly time regulated. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen right now so that we can take a peek at the traditional Chinese medicine clock, and we can get an understanding of how this clock actually works in terms of improving our health for our bodies, because we can time our castor oil pack or any treatment that we do to support our optimal liver health. And we can also see if we have any problems with our liver health, depending on how the timing of our sleep is. So let's start with this. Let's start with how we know that we're having problems with our liver, which might be an indicator of problems with our eyes. So if anyone is having problems sleeping, and if you want to in the chat, lift up your hand. If you have problems or you wake up between the hours of 1 and 3 a.m., say you get night sweats or you get hot flashes, or you wake up between the hours of 1 and 3 a.m. Anyone like that in the chat or in the room? When probably maybe she wakes up between the hours of 1 and 3 a.m., or she gets more hot flashes, or you have to go pee, even could be a sign. That's typically a sign that the liver is overburdened. Okay. So if the liver is overburdened, it's not cleansing properly. It's not eliminating properly. It's unable to package toxins properly. So then toxins will go and deposit in familiar areas that contain fat, like the eyes, like the brain, like the connective tissue. Okay, Gian here also said that she has probably issues between 1 and 3 a.m. in the morning. So that's interesting. That's great. It's very, very common because this is one of the most common problems that is happening for people, and is that their sleep isn't solid. And because the body detoxifies, cleanses, and lymphatically drains while we sleep in a specific order, it is super vital and important for us to get an enormously amazing, deep, 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 deep sleep all night long. Now, in order to do that, we want to get to bed before the hour of the gallbladder, right? So the hour of the gallbladder, if you look at my little chart here, is between the hours of 11 and 1 a.m. And why I love castor oil packs so much, and why we recommend castor oil packs to be done at night for at least 1 hour, or even better yet, to support detox, drainage, and cleansing all while we sleep, is because when you put the pack on your body on the right side, the skin acts very much the way your mucous membrane of your mouth or even of your stomach acts. Whenever fat is placed in your mouth or in your stomach, that's a signal for the gallbladder to dump bile. It's a well-known physiological response with regards to digestion. But the skin has similar receptors to the intestine, right? For all intensive purposes, our digestive tract is our outside on our inside, and the skin is the reverse. It's our inside on our outside. That's why when we touch, we connect right to our nervous system. When we get like goosebumps, right? That's our skin on our outside sensing and relating to our inside brain and our inside nervous system. So when you put fat or creams or anything that's oily on your skin, it's a signal to the gallbladder. And I like to say it kind of heralds the start of detoxification. And like the queen is heralded by a trumpet. Just so happens that if you look at the little gallbladder picture there, it's like a little trumpet in behind of the liver. So when we put the oil on the castor oil pack and we place it on the right side, like on the liver, what ends up happening is that you signal the gallbladder to dump. And that gallbladder signaling heralds the beginning of detoxification while we sleep. And then as we transition from the hour of the gallbladder into the hour of the liver, if we have a castor oil pack, most typically, people are sleeping quite deeply and well, because the castor oil pack, not only with that oily sensation, signals the gallbladder, but the castor oil pack, this is what it really truly does, which is the most important thing it does, is that it shifts the body from the stress state into the relaxed state. And by doing that, and then with the oil, which happens to be anti-inflammatory, an excellent antioxidant, which even helps to recycle glutathione, very, very valuable nutrient for the eye. It also helps to balance out the microbiome. This is just the oil. It also helps to move the smooth muscle, right? The smooth muscle that is within the intestine, the lymphatic system, the circulatory system, as well as the uterus, right? It has all these wonderful, wonderful actions, just the oil. But the pack itself is like a warm hug on the body, and it naturally stimulates and triggers in a healthy way. It stimulates feedback mechanisms from your skin that turn on your ventral nerve, right? Your ventral vagus nerve, which moves you into the relaxed state. It also signals somatic visceral reflexes, so which means from the skin, it activates organs in our internal body chambers, right? So it does all these wonderful mechanisms of action, dermatomes, traditional Chinese medicine meridians, the Ayurvedic chakras. It activates all of these energetic pathways and physiological pathways and mobilizes them into the relaxed state. And in the relaxed state, that's where digestion occurs. That's where detoxification naturally occurs. It's where lymphatic drainage can occur. It's where colon cleansing occurs. In systems that are completely stressed out, these mechanisms of actions never work. And so therefore, cleansing and detox can never function. And eye health starts to get compromised. Everything along the line gets compromised simply because we can't move into the relaxed state. But when we're in the relaxed state, we naturally transition from the gallbladder, the hour of the gallbladder, into the liver detoxification phase from 1 to 3 a.m., into the lung phase from 3 to 5 a.m., which is where the lymphatics are most active. Because like the heart is the pump for the circulatory system, the lungs are the pump for the lymphatic systems. Because plain as day, when you inhale, you have lung expansion. And when you're lying down flat, your castor oil pack is applying a gentle, soft, beautiful pressure on the top, but your inhalation is expanding your lungs. And that creates a natural mechanical pump, which mobilizes your lymphatic system while you sleep between 3 and 5 a.m. And then you transition into the hour of 5 and 7 a.m., which is the magical hour of the large intestine and letting things go. That's the emotion involved with the large intestine. And so, it's no surprise in the most common time for people to have a wonderful bowel movement, like a clockwork bowel movement, is between the hours of 5 and 7 a.m. because it's the most strongest hour of the large intestine. And it's also a really good measure of health and how well your circadian, your day-night cycle is working when you have a bowel movement early on in the morning. So, we can absolutely support eyesight by supporting liver detox, lymphatic drainage, and colon cleansing, because the eye is such gentle tissue, and the eye is interconnected intimately with liver health. And the liver health is intimately interconnected with the lymphatic drainage, the colon cleansing, and how the gallbladder is functioning.
Wow, that was super fascinating. I love this graphic. It's so it makes so much sense. Yeah, beautiful. And you're absolutely right. I mean, without relaxation, we can't see clearly, and without removing the toxins, we will get eye diseases like glaucoma, cataract, age-related macular degeneration, which are so common, and even things like dry eyes are all connected with this. So
yeah,
wonderful.
Dry eyes are major because when there's dry eyes, it's really interesting. There's oftentimes dehydration. So that takes it to an even a next level of issues for people is that, without sufficient water and mineral status, the body, when it comes to cleansing and detoxification and liver detox, colon cleansing, everything is moving compartment to compartment. In Germany, they were talking about this in terms of compartment medicine. So they would say, you've got your intracellular space, then the extracellular space, and then the lymphatic space, and then the circulatory space, and then the lumen of the colon, right? The big tube that is the colon. And without the right minerals and then the right amount of fluids, then it's impossible to actually clean up the system because things don't move from compartment to compartment and they just stay stagnant. And in fact, dry eyes is typically, like bloating, is typically a sign of increased inflammation in the body. And the reason for that is because, inflammation, I correlate it to a fire. And Claudia, how do you deal with a fire? What do you do to get rid of a fire?
Well, you use water to put it out, I would say.
Exactly. You like good firefighters, you pour water on it. Well, the body is a good firefighter. It's very, very smart. And it knows that when there is inflammation in a certain part of the body, it's gonna direct the water of the body to that inflamed area. And then all the water is concentrating there, but then this can cause like a swollen belly. You can feel very bloated. That could be one of the ways. Or maybe you've injured yourself and you have a swollen ankle because there's lots of inflammation there, or anything along those lines, right? Internally, you might feel swollen, but you won't be able to see it as much. So if your liver is swollen, you might just feel that you're carrying a lot of weight in your belly, but your liver might be inflamed and swollen. And then what happens is that is taking on all the fluids from the eyes, from every other compartment of the body, and including the compartment of the colon. So you're not having regular bowel movements. You're usually constipated because the body is so genius and so intelligent. It knows where to move the water when it's needed. And so you can do specific things to improve the body's ability to eliminate things out and give good flow. And castor oil packs is one of those.
Wow, I knew a lot of the things, but wow, I learned a lot of new things about the dry eyes, how it's really drawing the water to the inflamed part. I mean, it makes total sense.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk more about the body clock, or you want to stop the screen here?
No, we can stop it. Yeah, that's perfect.
Because this was also interesting about the glutathione recycling. That's something I didn't know, because glutathione is one of those antioxidants that, like you said, is super important for eye health. And I know some people take glutathione, but then you take all these, like you used to do, right? You take all these supplements, but then they don't do any good because your body might not even be able to digest them or use them without, this is so interesting.
Or absorb them. And that's one thing too, where the castor oil pack stands out, because for me, and even, you know, for thousands of patients that I've treated with castor oil packs, and then like hundreds of thousands more who've done castor oil packs with Queen of the Thrones, what we've seen is that, you know, absorption is a huge thing where people find that they benefit very quickly. Like because what's happening is that the castor oil pack, because it calms down the nervous system, it improves the movement throughout the compartment. So you absorb your foods better. You absorb your fluids better, even your water is absorbed better, because how many people out there are just drinking water and they're just urinating like a mad person, right? They're not even absorbing their water, but that's because their compartments, their body's not able to absorb. In the stress state, your body does not want to absorb. It's too busy dealing with the stressors, right? You could eat all you want, drink all you want, try to take as many supplements as you want, do as many treatments as you want. And the worst is to actually do cleansing and detox treatments during stressful periods, because when you do that, then you go into an adverse reaction, like a Herxheimer reaction, which is where people feel symptoms from detoxification, where they might get a rash, or they might get a headache, or they might feel unwell. Like that's not normal during a cleanse and detox. During a cleanse and detox, if it's done well, if the body is shifted into the relaxed state, like with doing a castor oil pack, that's why with every single patient who I was going to put on a cleanse, I had them doing castor oil packs, because I did not want to put them into some kind of not feeling well. I wanted them to feel well and keep doing those great practices. So then with the castor oil pack, that mediates those problems, because then your body is moving into the relaxed state. So it's able to receive the goodness, right? It's able to receive the goodness. And now the goodness needs to be packaged in the right things in order to provide the benefits, like that recycling of the glutathione. Like castor oil, as an example, it absolutely needs to be packaged in glass, because castor oil is a wondrous carrier oil. It's actually the very best carrier oil that exists on the market. And it's actually surprising to me that in aromatherapy circles, they don't speak about it as a carrier oil, because they speak about jojoba or sweet almond oil. But if people want to absorb their aromatherapeutic oils better, then the oil of choice would be absolutely 100% castor oil, for multiple reasons. Number one, it's very, very high in antioxidants, vitamin E, which is partly how it helps with recycling of glutathione, some quercetin, a well-known flavonoid that improves, a bioflavonoid that helps with improvement of absorption of all kinds of nutrients, right? And essential oils are known for having wonderful nutrients when done topically. It doesn't need to be taken orally, but they're often done topically, and they have excellent nutrients. So we'd want to be able to absorb them. So that's one of the benefits. Castor oil is also an excellent anti-inflammatory, natural anti-inflammatory. It also reduces pain. So if you're applying maybe frankincense oil to reduce pain in a certain area, why not synergize it and activate it even stronger by combining it with castor oil? You'll get benefits of both. Plus, castor oil supports the microbiome health. And as we know, the skin is like the digestive tract has microbiome, and it's very important to keep that area healthy. And then, well, of course, if you move the smooth muscle with castor oil, you're not only getting the bowels to move better and absorb better, you're helping them to do their job of processing food, but you're also going to help get more circulation to areas. You're going to help get more lymphatic flow, so you can get both a clearance of toxins and bringing of nutrients to the different areas. But that's only if the castor oil is in a glass bottle, because if castor oil is in a plastic bottle, then what you're carrying into the body is going to be plastics. And those plastics are going to do you more harm than good. And in fact, you're probably going to be retoxing, so retoxifying the system rather than detoxifying the system, which is the goal with castor oil.
That is super interesting. You're right. I've never heard about aromatherapists talking about castor oil. And actually, I have a side question. So I know oil pulling is a big, I've done that on and off. So and they usually say use coconut oil or I think olive oil. But so I would, from what you've been teaching, I would think castor oil would be a great oil to use for that, right?
That makes me so happy. Because castor oil is so much better and easier to use for oil pulling. Like with coconut oil and sesame oil, which are the traditional recipes, half and half, coconut oil to sesame oil. The thing was that it's a very thin, light oil. And the problem also with that thin and light is for people who have septic systems is that it actually freezes in their septic system. So it makes it a little bit tougher for them to use. So a lot of people, it's a common question that we get, because we love castor oil to be used for oil pulling, because with castor oil, instead of needing, with sesame and coconut oil, you need 1 tablespoon to 2 tablespoons, and you need to oil pull it, which means go like this for 20 minutes.
I know that's crazy.
So many people feel like they're going to gag at that point in time. Like it's just not right for them. They just don't love it. But castor oil is such an amazing carrier oil, right? It grabs onto things, including and balances microbiome and, brings circulation, moves lymphatic, anti-inflammatory, pain relieving. So this is such an amazing aid for anything happening in the dental cavity. But the thing with castor oil is that all that is needed is 1 teaspoon to 2 teaspoons. That's it. And for only 1 to 2 minutes. And it's amazing the feeling that you get. And you can either do that first and then brush your teeth, which is my habit, which I do that. I clean it first with castor oil, and then I gently brush my teeth with a very, very soft toothbrush. But it's super, super simple. There's been so many great reports of patients improving their oral hygiene with the simple act of castor oil pulling with simply just 1 teaspoon to 2 teaspoons, 1 to 2 minutes a day, rather than the alternative, which is so long, makes you gag, takes too long, right? And
no, who has time? 20 minutes. I mean, people even complain about vision practices taking too long. So I love the castor oil pulling. So I just double checked on that. So awesome. Thank you so much. I do want it, and I'm looking for questions on YouTube right now. I don't see any questions, but if you have any questions on YouTube watching, we have I think 41 people or 42 people watching live. So if you have any questions, put them in the chat. If you have a YouTube account, you can do that, or here on Zoom with us, my Clear Vision Club members, put it in the chat, and Dr. Marisol can answer. But let's talk a little bit about the eye mask, and how you can also perfect, and how you can actually use, because you also do have the eye mask, and I think you do recommend putting castor oil on eyebrows and eyelashes and around the eyes. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I'm gonna wear mine just because I love my eye mask so much. It makes me feel so good. So here's the thing is, again, as I said earlier on, in traditional Chinese medicine, they had done facial mapping and done this practice for a very, very long time, and had a true understanding of, what does it mean when certain parts of the body isn't working well. So they could see all types of things, from the shape of a person's face, the color of the tongue, the nose size, the eyes, how wide apart. I mean, they were just masters at diagnostics, right? And I love the traditional Chinese medicine facial mapping diagrams, because it really shows the interconnection of the liver and the eyes, and the gallbladder as well too, and the organs that are associated with detoxification. So for people out there, if you're ever wondering, the first question we always get when we talk about eyes is, people are always concerned about the dark circles under their eyes, or the puffiness that's happening under their eyes, right? And, that is often correlated to food sensitivities or problems with the kidneys. And if you notice the diagram, you can see that underneath the eyes, it's kidneys, and then adrenal glands right in these corners. Because when the adrenal glands get quite stressed, when there is, a constant stressor like a food sensitivity or allergy. And so when we notice that the kidneys are darkened or the lower area is darkened, this has everything to do with excessive amounts of stress, and is often correlated to food sensitivities. Now, it's also interesting to note that if your gallbladder has an issue, or your adrenal glands, which is a stress mediators, you're going to have a tendency to have more crow's feet as well too. So FYI, ladies, if we want to stay younger around the eyes, it's a really good practice to, apply castor oil and then accompany it with an eye mask. Now, you'll see that the telltale sign of stress on the liver is the number 11 frown lines, these little 11 frown lines. So, it's very, very powerful. to like open up your eyes. And the big reason why that one is so powerful is because the liver is the director. The liver is the director of the body. So that's the reason, if you think about it, like when a director comes to you, they're like, do, right? They're directing. And that's the frown, the number 11 frown sign. So that's an area where you definitely want to put quite a bit of castor oil. And it's also a sign of stress, over control, right? Wanting to control too much, all things that we want to really, if we want to be in flow in life and be in a relaxed state, it's all about, having faith, allowing, and just doing it with love, right? Those are the kind of like the three ingredients to make good things happen in your life, is having faith that good things will happen, being non-resistant to things in our life that occur, understanding that it's always for our greater good, and then doing everything that we can do with love. That's kind of the recipe for success. So another great telltale sign when it comes to the area around your face, if you want to know if you're having issues with like liver detox or gallbladder stress, is headaches. Temple headaches in specific. So as you see on these little maps in the corner where your temples are, that's the mapping area of the gallbladder. So whenever you're having a temple headache, note that it's a big sign that probably there's congestion in your gallbladder. You're having maybe problems digesting fat, or there's backup within the system, the connection between the gallbladder and the liver. So again, all good reasons to be doing castor oil packs more regularly, and when you go to sleep, to wear an eye mask. Now, of course, you're also going to have benefit to the bladder. You're going to have benefit to the spleen, like the eyelids. The top of the eyelids is the spleen. When people experience styes in the eyes, again, that is just congestion in the spleen area. I've treated quite a few in my clinical practice, styes in the eyes, just by applying castor oil on the eyelid. It has worked, honestly, magic, I'd have to say, with patients. And for myself, if I'm even getting the beginning of a sty in the eye, I gently apply castor oil to it, and it doesn't even go to full form, which is wonderful, right? I avoid the inflammation, the irritation, the uncomfortable appearance of the sty in the eye. Now, we don't recommend castor oil to be put in directly into the eye, because according to pharmaceutical medicine, that's actually they're looking for like actually a sterile formulation in order to do that. But there isn't a problem with eyes shut and eyes closed and applying castor oil both to the eyelids, to the eyebrows, around the eyes, or as an alternative, applying castor oil, just a very, very, very small amount, directly onto the eye compress, blotting it, and doing it exactly like you would a castor oil pack. Is you blot it, I go like this, keep my hair out of the way, and then I flip it over.
Can you stop your screen share so we can see you full screen?
Let me do that so you can see me better.
People actually ask, Susan is asking, discuss how to apply castor oil on eyelids for dryness. So as you were demonstrating, let me actually hide my own video so that we can see you full screen.
Perfect.
Okay. All right.
Honestly, it is just so simple. I literally take my castor oil with clean hands, of course, or we do have brushes that come within our kits at the moment, right? So we've got these brushes that come with the kit. But if you're applying it straight to the eyelids, you're washing your hands first, and then you're taking the oil and you're literally applying it over the eyelids, just being very gentle. With anything around the eyes, a good principle in cosmetology, in dermatology, is to don't work with gravity. Don't push things down more, because that's naturally going to happen. So always try to lift. Okay. We don't need to rush time. So you lift things up, lift them up. So you can like apply the oil and lift up, or just gently, and try not to like don't create wrinkles. It's kind of the big thing. So always up and out, up and out. Up and out. You could just apply it gently like that. The other way truly is simply to take your castor oil, your castor oil eye mask, right? It's an eye mask, eye compress. It's the exact same shape and size. It's a smaller size, of course, but it's exact same shape as the castor oil liver pack. So if you see this, they are the exact same shape. And that is 100% on purpose, because, well, we're doing the exact same treatment. Well, my little display there is going to fall off. All you do with this is simply you look for the cottony soft side. This side is a protective layer. Okay, it's a protective layer so the castor oil doesn't get everywhere. And this is the super soft cottony side, organic cotton, and you apply less than 1 teaspoon gently onto the pack, and then you blot it like so. And then you take the strap. Oh, you've already fitted it to your head because everyone has a unique size. You do like this so the castor oil doesn't get all over your hair, but it honestly isn't bad if it gets into your hair because it's always a little bit of a bonus hair growth formula. And then when you're lying down flat, you simply flip it over, and what you'll experience is that there's gentle pressure because of the oil with the pack. So what ends up happening with your eye mask is that it actually becomes like a weighted blanket. And if you've done any research or learned anything about weighted blankets help to calm down the nervous system. And a cool thing that people don't know about when you wear an eye mask is that when you wear an eye mask, a simple act of wearing an eye mask, you actually naturally improve melatonin, which is probably one of the most important antioxidants for women, that decreases as we age. So it's ever so important to use an eye mask, instead of having to take another supplement. Just use a wonderful eye mask, and ideally a mask that is light and colored and not dark and colored for a certain reason.
Can you tell us why? And there's actually a question in the chat, but tell us why it shouldn't be dark.
Okay, yes, because so many people have dark eye masks, and this is what I found when I actually created this. I've always started the products like, what would I love? What would I love for my health to make things better and make my health practice easy? Because, I've always been a really busy person, and like everyone else on the call, I'm sure you're all busy. You have a big to-do list, and you're like, you're a wellness lover. You love like buying wellness stuff. Like I've got every wellness stuff I can find my hands on, but then a lot of them I don't ever use because they're too cumbersome, or they're not easy to do. And so every single product that I've ever created has been in need and a want and a love. What would I love? What would I love for my health practice to make it easier? And so that I could take less supplements, exercise less. I love to exercise, but I don't want to exercise that much. I was exercising a lot when I was younger and stressing my body out because of it, which I don't want to do. And I've seen so many of my patients just exercise too hard in their lives and ruin their joints. And then when they're older, it's like really, really challenging for them. So I like to have a balance of everything, right? And so with this mask, the reason why I created it, because I used to sleep with a dark mask, but what I would find was that I would be so groggy in the morning, and it would actually be hard for me to wake up, because what was happening was that I was getting the natural support of the melatonin simply by wearing the eye mask. However, what I was lacking was that I was lacking the daylight coming in the morning to stimulate my natural morning cortisol that needs to come up for me to wake up. So with this mask, it's sufficient to block out the light at night. But in the morning, it allows the light to shine through. And in that case, you're not just only getting melatonin support, but you're also getting natural, healthy cortisol support. Because again, it's not about eradicating stress hormones or stopping your stress hormones. It's about balancing in the right way. And we balance them with the two most vital, important rhythms of our lives: the circadian rhythm, the day-night cycle, and then the wonderful 30-day moon cycle that we especially experience as women with our menstruations.
Wow, this is so wonderful. We're actually a little bit over time, but there was one question I wanted to check in with you. So Erwin is saying, I have multiple issues, including cataracts. What do you think of castor oil eye drops, and how about castor oil packs on the eyes? I think you covered the eyes, but anything specific about cataracts you want to add? And by the way, really quick interception, my friend, Dr. Mark Grossman, he has those, he's an optometrist, he has those sterilized, what you talk about, castor oil eye drops that you can actually put in the eyes, but right, you would not recommend putting your organic castor oil into the eyes. Okay.
Ours is good topically on the eyelids. So is this Mike Grossman you're talking about?
Yeah, exactly. He has a specific one for eyes that you can actually put into your eyes. But awesome. What about the question about the cataracts and how castor oil eye packs on the eyes can help?
I mean, because here's the thing, when you do a castor oil eye compress, aging of the eyes occurs because of lack of nutrients, lack of glutathione, right? And an inability to move out what may be depositing in the fatty tissue of the eyes. If anyone is familiar with eating fish, the Chinese, again, so much training in traditional Chinese medicine, I've learned all these little interesting things about the culture. The fish is the prized part of the eyeballs are actually the prized part of the fish in China because they are full of fat and toxins accumulate in fatty tissues. So this is the reason why it is so important to have a cleansed liver and to help the eyeballs literally clear out with improving lymphatic system around the eyes and also improving the circulation that's bringing nourishment and nutrients to the eyes. So wearing a castor oil eye compress achieves both and more. It achieves, of course, as I said earlier, castor oil is great antioxidant. It's a wonderful anti-inflammatory, wonderful pain reliever. It helps to support the movement of the lymphatic system that will then, help with removal of the toxins that need to come out of the fatty tissue of the eye. And then it also enhances circulation to the area. So whatever supplements you're doing or taking to support your eye health, and this is across the board, whether it's for cataracts or meibomian gland dysfunction or glaucoma, like every single eye condition is rooted within inflammation and stress and potential toxic overload and inability of getting good circulation. Every condition, not even just the eye, every condition.
Totally.
Right. So if you improve the circulation, if you improve the lymphatic drainage, improve the circulation and the nutrients that are going to the area, especially with something like castor oil that is a high antioxidant, a very natural, high antioxidant rich oil, that does all those wonderful things, plus improves the microbiome. It's really a recipe for success. Now, of course, we got to still do things like train the eyes. We still got to do these things because anything that you don't use, you lose, right? So there's training involved, everything. But
there
yes,
was a question from Carol, and I think I can actually answer that if you enlist, but does the mask provide too much pressure for someone concerned about glaucoma? So in glaucoma, one thing I'm teaching, Dr. Marisol, is something called palming. With clean hands, you cover your eyes. And if you have high pressure glaucoma, you don't want to put too much pressure on. Yes. But first of all, I want to say glaucoma it's really important to relax. So the castor oil will help. And you mentioned earlier that you can adjust the strap, yes. Right? So anything you want to add to that, if somebody doesn't want that pressure on the eyes, is there?
Yeah, if you don't want the pressure in your eyes, the other option is to simply just apply the castor oil directly around the eyes, right? You're still going to get the same effect because the lymphatics aren't just directly in the eyes. It's like all around, right? Mm-hmm. So you can do treatment all around and still get the benefit. And then again, it's highly adjustable. I mean, I have a really large head. And so if I were to, there's so much space, you could really have it super loose if you wanted to, but you wanted to have it tight enough and you can adjust it so that it fits your head well. It's just the only difference is I think with glaucoma, you could still do the compress because again, it's a light-weighted blanket. It isn't strong pressure, but I think the best would be just to apply it around the eyes. It'd be easier and then there'd be no worries.
Well, thank you so much. This was super wonderful and everybody on YouTube also agrees. So much great information. And I put all your links into the chat and also into the show notes. And anything else you want to say before we say goodbye to YouTube? And we have a little bit extra time here in the Clear Vision Club on Zoom, but anything you want to add or say, final words?
Awesome. Well, I just want to say, the journey of healing is lifelong, and it's truly about the small micro movements that you make every single day that make a macro big difference in the end of a year. And, if you're thinking about doing a New Year's resolution this year, make it like a castor oil pack. Start doing castor oil packs regularly and sleep compresses and see what doing that one little practice every single night for an hour, or better yet, to wear it while you sleep and see what kind of change could happen within a year. That's a big thing. And I've noticed over time in clinical practice, it wasn't, the big bombastic massive IVs and the fun stuff that all seems so Hollywood. What really ended up really working well was always those most ancient treatments, the most gentle, because the body really just requires gentle stimulation for major change. But that gentle stimulation needs to happen every day, every night. And that's what ultimately creates healing. So if anyone wants to follow me on Instagram, you can follow me at Cell Health Well. That is SELL Health and then well. And there I speak a lot about castor oil packs, obviously, and liver detox and cleansing and drainage and all these kinds of fun things, because I truly am a lover of this forever. And I'm constantly, like you all are, on the search to balance stress, balance inflammation, and just make life easier and better, because we can do it. Awesome.
And I do, let me put this in again, the thing was too long, so I have to, but yeah, you can, and Queen of the Thrones is also on Instagram, right? So you have both options. And thank you so much. I couldn't have said any better. Those were awesome final words to end this kind of super educational segment. So thank you so much, Dr. Marisol. Make sure you follow her on all the channels she listed, and make also sure you follow this channel and to learn more about this. Thank you so much, and goodbye, YouTube. Until next